It's John Lund Unleashed. Shout out to Lund loyalists watching on YouTube, those watching on X, Instagram, Facebook, and JohnLundUnleashed.com and the Lund Lunatics, listening to the podcast on Apple and Spotify. Make sure to subscribe and like John Lund Unleashed on YouTube and keep those alerts on so you don't miss anything. Now here's Johnny.
Yes, what's happening? What do we got? Tuesday, September 2nd. Thanks for joining us. Episode 231. You could be watching on John Lund Unleashed on YouTube, Bay Area Sports Collective, or on X at John Lund Radio. However you're watching, thank you for watching on this Tuesday. And again, I cannot believe it. It is game week. It is game week, and it is starting off with a bang in the Bay Area with the 49ers at the Seahawks. Got some interesting news about what the crowd is going to look like. Remember when Seattle had the 12s? Remember when? And they used to have a dominant home field advantage. And this series is kind of ebb and flow. Like the Seahawks will win 4 and dominate when Russ was their quarterback. And then the Niners will dominate and all those kind of things. And it was, keyword was, intimidating to play up in Seattle. So we got a ton of things to get to tonight. But do remember, if you were watching, first of all, thank you. And however you are watching, but if you would subscribe to the channel, John Lund Unleashed on YouTube, that would be dandy. Also, make sure that you hit us with a like before you get out of here tonight, because the algorithm loves that and goes, that show ain't half bad. And keep those alerts on for stuff throughout the day. Breaking sports news shows at 7 p.m. or so Pacific time, and stuff throughout the day. So that would be great. We got our good friend Ian FURNESS going to join us from KJR in Seattle, a guy I've known through sports radio for about 25 years. Dude was the Washington State broadcaster of the year a couple of years ago. Does great stuff with the Seattle Kraken. I've known him so long. He's been broadcasting hockey for a long time. He was traveled with the Seahawks for many, many, many years for Fox 13 up in Seattle, and does a great radio show with a tremendous crew up there that I go on with every single week at KJR in Seattle from 1 to 3 weekdays. So multi-dimensional, multi-talented, and he's going to join us later on in the show, and we'll get some things out of the way first. Plus, bonus Giants coverage on a Rafael Devers fight. Oh, by the way, is there anybody who still thinks that was a bad trade? Yeah, not so much. So a lot of things to do in episode 231. Kyle is number one. If you look over to the chalkboard, Kyle number one in what? I will tell you. The expensive offense of the 49ers versus the not so expensive offense of the Seahawks. The 49ers fans traveling, I'll give you that one. You may have seen that already. Joe, as in Montana's top quarterbacks and why. The Devers fight. The interview with my friend Ian FURNESS. So we'll kind of go behind enemy lines. We'll do more of a Seattle thing. And I know you think I'm too high on the Seahawks. I just call them as I see them. I don't blow smoke up your ass around here. We just kind of call them as we see it. And look, I think it's going to be a close game. The Niners, depending on your book O choice, are 2 or 2.5 point favorites. And it's, I think, the first time in, I think I heard Greg Bell, who's a Bay Area guy, covered the Seahawks for a long time for the Tacoma News Tribune, saying it was the first time in, like, I don't know, 30, 40 years the Seahawks have been a home dog. So anyway, it's not often they do that, but lots of people are in on the Niners. And I think I told you this when I did the airport show, or maybe it was the night before, can't remember, sometime last week when I was out of town doing shows. The Vegas people have the Niners as the NFC West faves in like the first 6 scenarios. You have to go down to like 16-1 odds to not see a scenario in which the Niners aren't the favorites, and that includes the Rams, that includes the Seahawks. I just wanted to remind people that, look, the Niners aren't going to be 6-11 again. The schedule just won't allow it, but they are 6-11, and the Seahawks were 10-7. And I do think the Seahawks are going to have a better defense than they did. And remember, the Seahawks had a top 10 defense. Mike McDonald's in his second year, and I think they're going to be better. Now, do I think their offense is going to be better? I'm not sure. They lost DK Metcalf. They lost Tyler Lockett. They lost Geno Smith. I think their line's going to be better, but that's going to be the game. And I know it's boring to talk about, but it's that offensive line of Seattle that thinks it's better versus the defensive line of the Niners, which is young. And in the beginning of the season, I don't know how good it's going to be, but at the middle of the season, I think it's going to be a lot better. By the way, one of the weird things about this game, they see the Seahawks first, they see the Seahawks last. And you know how different these two teams are going to be between those times? A lot, especially the Niners with all the young guys they're going to play. But anyway, we'll get into some of those things. people are jumping up and down too. One thing I'll add is depth charts out today. And everybody's jumping up and down. Those things are done by the PR staffs, or not the PR staffs, by the certain, not by the, let's put it this way. They're not done by Kyle and John and all those guys. And so there's some weird things that go on with depth charts. And one thing I will point out, so we'll get into that a little bit too. And then tomorrow's kind of the big day to just kind of take you through the week. Kyle speaks tomorrow, and we'll have a lot of it on tomorrow night's show. And kind of react to some of the things Kyle says. And, Kyle, not a great liar, so he'll tell us a few things about injuries. But we don't get injuries in the NFL unless a coach wants to voluntarily say something, and they don't. Like, for example, yesterday, I watched the Sean McVay press conference with the Rams because I'm dialed into the NFC West and the rest of the NFL. And so we're not going to do NFL Wire tonight. We're going to do the interview I did with Ian FURNESS in Seattle, and he was actually at Seattle Kraken headquarters because he was doing a fantasy football draft there, but he does show us the ice, which is pretty cool. But I digress, and because I wanted to find out what's going on with Matthew Stafford and his back, and that's not an easy game that the Rams are going to play against the Texans on Sunday. But he's like, look, I'll tell you Wednesday. So we're going to find out more Wednesday. So when we hear from Kyle and talk to Kyle tomorrow, we'll get a little bit more on these injuries and something, for example, Marquez Valdez-Scantling on the roster today, Russell Gage released today, but Russell Gage being a vested veteran, not to make this too complicated, he doesn't have to go through waivers, so he can sign back and he's going to be activated should he not go to another team, which why would he? Because he already knows the offense. Kyle likes him. He's going to come back onto this team. So Valdez, Scantling, and Gage, I think, are going to be up on Sunday. I told you yesterday, 625,000 reasons why Juwan Jennings came back this week. Jennings has a roster bonus every week that he is active on the roster. He gets $625,000 every Sunday. So he is going to be playing. And Ricky Pearsall is the number one receiver right now for the 49ers. So those will probably be the top four wide receivers for the 49ers on Sunday in Seattle. So we'll get into all of those conversations. So a lot to go over, plus a bonus for the Giants. And what the hell's FEMA doing? Looking at some pretty damn dirty porn, I'll tell you that's what they're doing. So anyway, we got a lot to go over today. Let's do a little roll call if you're new. And by the way, if you're watching on X, or if you're new, or if you're old or whatever, we have a great, great, great community that we have developed over the last number of months here at John Lund Unleashed. And we'd love you to come over and join it. So if you are watching tonight on X, I love that you are. Don't get me wrong. But come on over to John Lund Unleashed on YouTube and have a little fun in the room here. By the way, if you 100% want to get your questions, comments, or thoughts on the board and on the show, all you have to do is hit us with the super. And not only do you get on the show, you are supporting the show, which is always nice. And, I'm always getting people on the show. If you put up something really cool, that's great. But if you 100% want to get on the show and you got something that you just have stuck in your craw, then this is a great way to do it. So if you want to do that, that is tremendous. Look at who's first on the board today. Awesome. East Coast Red and Gold Podcast. Go Niners. If you are not following my friends at East Coast Red and Gold Podcast, I'll give you a second. Follow them right now. You need to follow them throughout the season. They are awesome. They do great shows. In fact, look at this. They are on tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. So make a note of it right now and watch their podcast. They're good friends of mine. They are awesome. They talk Niners. They're a bunch of fun. They get a bunch of people on the show. They're just incredible. And I'm glad that I met them last season. And they're just great people. So 5 p.m. Pacific tomorrow, East Coast Red and Gold Podcast. Make a note. Good friends of mine. And stoked that they are on the show tonight. So make sure that, again, tomorrow night, East Coast Red and Gold Podcast. Great people. Awesome. 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern Time tomorrow as we get you ready for the Seahawks and the Niners, and never can get enough talk. So there you go. East Coast Red and Gold Podcast. Make sure that you hit them up tomorrow. Francis is here tonight. Good to see everybody there. Carlos Niners 94. Oh, you got an SC thing going right there. Look at you. You changed up on us. Very cool. Eric, it is great to see you, my friend. And again, any questions, comments, thoughts, hit me up right now or under the show if you're watching later, or at John Lund Unleashed is a great spot to do it as well. Double shift, bro. You're working the double, man. Have yourself a cocktail and relax. Let's hang out. Talk some Niners tonight, man. That's great. Hey, what's up, 2-2? Good to see you, my friend. Nice to see you. That's a nice smiling face right there. John Joseph, good to see you. That's my good friend, Christopher. He is awesome. Look how nice you look, my friend. Very nice. Eric is here tonight. You tripping. It's always good to see you. I would not mind Jabril Peppers. You know my standpoint on that. You tripping. I would really like a Adult in the room on the safeties, but he's a box, and they've got a lot of box guys. But we'll see. They're going to get through this first game and see what they've got in the safety position and see if they've got enough. Not sure that they do, but we'll see. We will get into this. This is my good friend Dom, everybody. 53%. In fact, I may have given my friend Ian Furness grief about that. What 12s? I don't know 12s anymore up there. It's going to be more than 50-50 up there. In fact, I have that graphic. I'm going to throw that up there in just a second. My God. Big Brick 84 is here tonight. James, it is great to see you. No, I'm not low on the Niners at all. Dang. I am not low on the Niners at all. In fact, I'm between, ESPN did a sim I'm going to show you. I don't think I have that on the board tonight, but I am going to show you a sim that ESPN did. I'm not, like I said, I'm between 9 and 11. I think that's not bad. I am not low on the Niners whatsoever, especially the offense. The defense is going to take a minute. I've said that. I'm not low on the offense. I'm nervous about the kicker, and I know the defense is going to take a minute. And by the way, Friday, we're going to do a whole thing. Hi, Daniel. It's good to see you from the 916. If you weren't here last night, we're going to do a whole thing on record. Speak now for ever hold your peace on Friday. So record, sleeper, maybe like a sleeper player, a sleeper team. We're going to get in everything on Friday. So make sure that you are here, and we'll do a bunch of predictions on Friday. Woo, Pine is going aggressive. 13-4, bro. Good to see Pine here tonight. Vrock, haven't seen Vrock in a while. It's great to see Vrock from the 408, my good friend. Going Seahawk hunt. Very cool. Man, we got a lot of people in the room tonight. Everybody's getting stoked. It's good to see Joy tonight. Everyone's getting stoked on week one. It's awesome. Isn't it great to have have football back, man? It is so cool. So anyway, good to see everybody. If I did not acknowledge you yet, I'm sure I will at some point because we have so much to go over tonight. So welcome everybody. However you're watching, thank you very much. If you would hit us with a like, if you'd hit us with a subscribe, and you would also make sure that you are you got everything. Get your alerts on. So that'd be great. All right. Let's hit everything. I'll do this. You know what? Since we're talking about it, let me hit you with the sim. So I really don't acknowledge the sim until my really good friend Cynthia Freeland does it for the NFL Network, and hers hasn't come out yet for the season. But ESPN did their sim, and when they do these computer sims, and they do them through like thousands of things. And so this is the average of like 1,000 sims. And this is what they did for the NFL. And I think you would be surprised. And look, we're surprised every year. But let's just quickly go to the NFC West bottom right. And they have the Rams. And if they've got a little asterisk by them, then that's a playoff team. And if they have a pound sign, that's a division, they have a pound sign, then that's the wild card. So they have the Cardinals as a wild card team at 9-8. They don't have the 49ers in the playoffs. This is an ESPN sim over thousands of simulations. They have the Seahawks at 8-9, so they have me. Like I said, I don't think the Seahawks are winning the Super Bowl. I think that the Seahawks are probably a 10-win team like they were last year. But they've got the Niners at 9-8. I've told you that's what I have the Niners at. I wouldn't be surprised if they got up to 10 or 11 games. But what they really have, they have the Buccaneers as a playoff team. They have the Falcons winning the South, which I think is crazy. Look where they have the Packers. And again, this is with the Dallas trade in there. So they've got that in there, and they've still got them at 8-9. I would flip that division. Although I'd put the Lions up there. But the Vikings, they have really high, which they think J.J. McCarthy is really going to have a year. So they've got them at 10-7. They have the Commanders at 7-10. My team that I think is going to tumble this year is the Commanders. I don't think it's 7-10. I don't think it could go that far. But again, how much credence do I give this simulation when they have the Eagles at 8-9? Eagles are not dropping 8-9 unless there's a bunch of injuries. The Eagles are incredibly talented. I think, and not just because they just won the Super Bowl, but just because I think the Eagles are the most talented team in the NFC. And the fact that they have the Cowboys winning the NFC might make this entire simulation completely irrelevant. I don't think the Cowboys are going anywhere near the top of the NFC East, but they have the NFC East really competitive. So, and then the East, and you go to the AFC, the East, the Bills. Yeah, I can see them 13-4. They have the North, the Ravens, and the Bengals. I think that's pretty accurate. The South is a toss-up to me. I think the Texans are the best team in that division. They have it 9-8. Interesting, the West, they don't have anybody with a dominant record. They have the Broncos winning that. I wouldn't be surprised if they ended the Chiefs, decade-long dominance in the AFC West. But they have the Broncos at 9-8, Chiefs at 9-8. That would be a bit surprising. And then they have the Raiders actually right there in the chase, and the Chargers at 8-9. Both the Raiders and the Chargers at 8-9. So I think they're light on wins for a lot of those teams. I don't think the Chiefs are winning 9. I think they'd go over. I think the Broncos could win that division. I think the Texans winning 9. I think they might win like 11. So I think they're light on some teams. I think they might be light on the Niners. Like I said, I think, like I said 9 on the Niners, but that might be a little light. I think they're a little high on the Vikings, if I was going to say. And again, I think the Commanders are going to take a slip back. I don't think to 7, though. So, and I think they're way high on the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are going to be a mess. And they think the Cardinals are not only going to go 9-8, but they have the Cardinals going deep in the playoffs too. So that's a simulation by ESPN, and they have, like I said, it's like 1,000 sims, and that's the average of the simulations. So that's just one sim of many. But like I said, I don't count it until Cynthia Freeland comes out. When she comes out, then I start to listen. But until she comes out, whatever. All right, the Kyle number 1 thing here is, now this is pretty cool. Before I show you, I'm going to show you what they do, right? This is my good friend Ted Wynn from the Athletic. He's the best. All right, so here's the explanation. It says, to find out, I cut that off at the end, didn't I? To find out who the league's best play callers are and what makes their offenses so difficult to prepare for and play against, Ted Wynn says, I talked to their nemesis. 6 defensive coordinators, 6 defensive assistant coaches from around the league. Who better to rank and analyze offensive play callers than the coaches who have to stop them? Good thought, Ted. And honestly, each defensive coach ranked who they thought were the top 10 play callers in the league. I compiled the rankings for those lists and added their analysis of each play caller. So when I show you the rankings, that's pretty damn good. 6 defensive assistant coaches, 6 defensive coordinators. These are the best around the league. And this is Ted Wynn, who did this for The Athletic, if you haven't seen it yet. So I think this is pretty good. This isn't some jackass. This isn't some, Stephen A. Smith who doesn't know shit. This isn't some, even former player. This isn't somebody who played for somebody. This isn't somebody who's biased. This is 6 current defensive coordinators, 6 current coaches on current staffs. All right. So this is people who know what they're talking about. These are coaches who have to prepare for offensive play callers. Now, this isn't just head coaches. These are guys who call the plays, right? So Kyle Shanahan is a head coach who does call plays. But this is offensive coordinators who call plays, all right? Coaches, coordinators, whatever. So number 1 on the list, bitching, moaning, can't win a Super Bowl, right? Number 1 in the league right there, Kyle Shanahan. Not Sean McVay, not Andy Reid, not insert hot new offensive coordinator here, Liam Cohen, who goes to the Jaguars. It's still Old Faithful. It's still Kyle Shanahan, by his peers, named number 1. And it talks about all that, what he does. There's a few quotes in there and everything else, but number 1 in the league, number 1 play caller is Kyle Shanahan by his peers. So again, you can say that, and we can bitch and we can moan and we can talk about certain things. And I hope, and just from my standpoint, I don't debate that whatsoever. All right. And again, I tell you this all the time. I'm not here to blow smoke up your butt. All right. I'm not here with pom-poms that one's red and one's gold. That's not what I'm here to do. It's the wrong show if you think that's what it is. I'm here to objectively look at the 49ers and the rest of the NFL, and I'm here to tell you what I think. I talked to people within the league. I talked to people within the building. I've covered the 49ers for a lot of years, and I know a lot of people in that building. So am I biased from a standpoint of I'd like to see them win because I know people in that building who badly want to win a Super Bowl for the first time since 1994? Yeah, from that standpoint, I am. But from a standpoint of what I see, that I'm not biased in that way. If I see issues with this team, like, for example, defensively, they're so young, and having guys like Upton Stout and Mikael Williams and CJ West miss those preseason games and miss those preseason reps, that concerns me. It's a major concern to me. To even have Juwan Jennings, as good as he is, miss those preseason reps is a concern to me. To have the left guard, even if Ben Barch is really good, miss those preseason reps, that's a concern to me. So, there's things about the 49ers going into Seattle that concern me. And to see Mike McDonald in his second year, I think Seattle's going to have a really good defense. Does that mean the Niners aren't going to win? No. But those are concerns to me. And I think the Niners, because of their schedule, can win double-digit games, get into the playoffs. And by the time the playoffs roll around, this young defense can maybe merge into something that could be something. So I do. There's a lot of questions around this team. But again, I'm not here to cheerlead for the team like some of the beat writers do or some certain people do. There's certain people that do that. They get too close to the team. I've been doing this for, 25 years, 30 years, and it didn't used to be like this. Certain writers for the Giants get too close to the team, get too close to the manager. Certain people get too close to the head coach, too close to certain players, and they start cheerleading for the team. I like George Kittle. I like Brock Purdy. I like Fred Warner. I like these guys. They're really good guys. But the guys I cheerlead for and hope they win because of are guys behind the scenes, guys who are my bosses, people who I know live and die with the team. The Bob Sargent, the broadcast coordinator of the 49ers, who I sat next to while I was working in Las Vegas at the Super Bowl, and we didn't say one word to each other during the entire Super Bowl because both of us were just like on pins and needles for the whole thing. And then when the thing ended, when Mahomes threw the touchdown pass, I kind of looked at him, nodded. I knew how pissed off he was because he's been with the team for 25 years, and he turned and he just walked out of the radio booth. And I felt so fucking bad for the guy. I was crushed for him. I was crushed for him because I know how badly he wants to win a Super Bowl. That's who I'm crushed for. These guys, they have a say in it because they play every single day. They play. Kittle plays and Warner plays and Brock plays, and they have a hand in this every single year. He doesn't. And I felt horrible in that moment for him because he's worked so hard for the organization and he just wants it. His direct boss is Jed York. And so that's what I mean is but I'm not here to sit here and I want to cut to the chase on this whole thing. I'm not here to cheerlead. I'm here to give you the truth because I think that's what you deserve. So anyway, that's the angle I'm kind of coming from in this whole thing. So let me get back to Kyle Shanahan on this whole thing. In Kyle Shanahan, we all get frustrated in Kyle because we all think, all right, this is a great, like this offense this year. And I'm going to show you something in just a second. But we look at this offense and we think, okay, at least early in the season, they have got to carry the defense. And you look at this team and you say to yourself, okay, offensive line is generally what it's been, right? And it's good enough. And Christian McCaffrey is back healthy and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. And from a receiver standpoint, week one in Seattle, Ricky Pearsall has really emerged. I'd be shocked if Ricky Pearsall didn't catch at least 80 balls this year. Go well over, again, I'm just assuming health for a minute. 80 catches, 1,100 yards. I don't know. You can't really predict touchdowns. Like Trey McBride of the Cardinals last year had over 100 catches before he caught a touchdown pass. That's mind-blowing to me. So I don't know how many touchdowns he's going to have, but like 80 touchdowns, 1,100 yards, something like that for Ricky Pearsall, got to be at least. I think he's going to do that. He and Brock are on the same page. So then, I think Jennings is going to be fine because Jennings is not going to get wide open. Brock's just going to throw him the ball because he trusts him. And I hope he does week one in Seattle, even though they haven't worked a ton. They didn't work a lot in training camp. So he'll be fine. And then George Kittle will be good enough and, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Not good enough. He's going to be great. So, the offense is going to be the offense. But they have the number one play caller in the NFL, that according to his peers. So they're going to score points. And Kyle Shanahan knows damn well he's going to have to score points. So I wonder if that's going to change his viewpoint a little bit. Like, I don't have the defense I had. I don't know that I trust my kicker. This is going to be one of the most interesting things about Kyle Shanahan this year. Is Kyle Shanahan going to be the guy that, when he had Robbie Gould, he knew 53 and in, I'm good. He knew that he had this type of a defense. I got a top 5, top 10 defense. It's okay. If I punt the ball and play the field position game, I can win this football game. Is he going to be in the back of his head going, you know what? I got to push the pedal to the metal. It's 4th and 2 from my own 46. And you know what? I got to score points to win the game. I can't sit here and rely on a defense to get the ball back for me and play the field position game. Now, let's say Seattle goes up 10-0. Is Kyle Shanahan going to rely on his defense, or is Kyle Shanahan going to say, I can't rely on my defense? My best group clearly is my offense. I love Fred Warner and I love Nick Bosa, but these young guys are not getting it done early in the game. I got to push my offense. This is my best group. So he might have a little bit of a different, he might be a little bit more aggressive. If you've watched me with any consistency or listened to me through the years on Bay Area radio, the only real criticism I've ever had of Kyle Shanahan is just a little bit more aggressive. You don't have to be Dan Campbell. You don't have to be, John Harbaugh with Lamar Jackson. You don't have to be Philly in the tush push. You don't have to do it all the time. But some of the times, and those times, and you're as frustrated as I am sometimes, happen in playoff games and Super Bowls where I just wish he'd be a little bit more aggressive. And I think this year with his offense and more so lack of defense early in the season, I think he may have to do that. So the number one play caller in the league, and he's that aggressive and he's got this much talent. And I just think he may have to be a little bit more aggressive early in the season. So Kyle Shanahan, his peers say he's the number one offensive play caller in the league. So that should tell you, be a little bit more aggressive. You've got everybody healthy and back, at least early in the season. And then look at this. Now, some of this graphic I'm going to show you is reflective of something we talked about 2 nights ago, which is they're paying a lot of players not to play for them. Deebo Samuel, for example, they're paying $34 million this year not to play for them. But if you look at expensive offenses this year, $202 million on the offensive side of the ball this year for the 49ers. 202. Now, 34 is Deebo Samuel. But think about it. Trent Williams paid a lot of money. And Brandon Ayuk paid a lot of money to be hurt. Christian McCaffrey, highest paid running back, right? I mean, there's a lot of guys. George Kittle, highest paid tight end. You've got a lot of guys getting paid by the 49ers. And you wonder why they won't pay Juwan Jennings, because they've already got a lot of money on this offense. $202 million. Only Philadelphia, and think about that. Hurts is getting paid a lot. A.J. Brown's getting paid a lot. Offensive line's getting paid a lot. Saquon Barkley's getting paid a lot. So they got a lot on that offense. But the Niners are paying a lot for this offense. All right? Now look at Seattle. Look what Seattle's paying for their offense. Sam Darnold's not getting paid as much as you think. Ken Walker hasn't gotten paid yet. They let DK Metcalf go because they didn't want to pay him. They're not paying their tight ends anything. They have a young offensive line. Remember, Cross is up for a contract. Their left tackle haven't paid him. They haven't paid anybody on their offensive line. So Seattle's got the least amount of money on offense this year, $96 million. The 49ers have the second highest paid offense this year. Now, again, that's skewed a little bit because Deebo's getting paid. Now, think about this on Sunday. Deebo's getting paid $34 million not to play for the 49ers, and Brandon Ayuk's getting paid a hell of a lot of money injured for the 49ers. So there's some money that guys are getting paid not to play for the 49ers of that 202. But that's kind of a $96 million for the team that they're playing on offense, and they're the second highest paid offense. So the one thing, regardless of paying Deebo that money and regardless of paying Ayuk not to play, you better score some points. And I'm down with you, J49. Yeah, there's a lot of dead cap there. There's dead cap at Deebo, and there's Ayuk not playing. So, I mean, it's wild, man. But anyway, they got a lot of money there. And that's why they've got a really young defense. And that's why early in the season, Mikael Williams, West, Collins, when Nick Martin gets on the field and guys like that, they got a young secondary. There's a lot of youth on defense because they're paying guys, whether they're playing for them or not, a ton of money on offense. Hell, even Kyle Juszczyk. Think about it. Juszczyk has got dead money and he's playing for the 49ers. $3.5 million of dead cap and he's playing for the 49ers. Blows your mind. All right. Anyway, so Kyle is number one on offense. Expensive offense. Seattle, not so much. This is the thing that we were talking about before, and somebody already mentioned it, but Seattle used to be a place where we feared, right? In the Harbaugh days and Russell Wilson under center, the cornball Russell Wilson, just couldn't beat him. I mean, regardless of what you thought of Russell Wilson, you just couldn't beat him, right? And then going to Seattle was like, it was just a house of horrors. Just couldn't win there. And when the NFC Championship game opened up in, 2013? and Alden Smith knocked that ball away from Russell Wilson. They get the ball, and they had to settle for a field goal. That was the one that, Richard Sherman tipped that ball away from Crabtree and did all the trash talking afterwards. But that first play when Alden Smith knocked that ball away from Russell Wilson, and you're thinking to yourself, maybe, just maybe, right? Maybe, just maybe. But then all those ghosts, right, of Cam Chancellor hitting Vernon Davis and Kaepernick throwing the ball across the field and Cam Chancellor and just all those different things that happened. And then they were erased, right? Greenlaw knocking down, was that guy Hollister at the goal line, all that kind of stuff. I mean, just crazy things. Navarro Bowman getting hurt up there. So it used to be just kind of a house of horrors for the 49ers. But then look at this. There's no 12th man anymore for the Seahawks. The great Nick Wagner, who covers the 49ers for ESPN. According to Vivid Seats fan forecast tool, 49ers fans are expected to make up 53% of the crowd on Sunday in Seattle. Average ticket price $393 with a get-in of $241. Get-in, by the way, is SRO. SRO. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. You're just going to be walking the whole time. There's no sit down. So $400 basically if you want a seat, $241 if you want to be walking around, $250 if you want to be walking around. But I mean, how nuts is that? That a place that used to be a house of horrors for the 49ers and all had that nuclear puke green and all that kind of stuff, that according to at least one outlet, Vivid Seats, that more than half of the crowd in Seattle is going to be wearing some form of gold, black, red, white, whatever the case may be, not Seattle nuclear something or other. I mean, how crazy is that? More than half. That is crazy. I mean, I see that in LA. I mean, we see it all the time. I've gone down and covered a bunch of games at Levi South, at SoFi. I've covered a bunch of games. I mean, everybody knows that. I was born in LA. I grew up there. I mean, there's no sports fans in LA. Oh, the Dodgers are good? Put on my Dodger jersey. Oh, the Lakers are good? Put on my Magic jersey. They're jumping on the bandwagon down there all the time. But the Seahawks, at one point, they had some great fans. They used to take over Candlestick. They used to, at the beginning of Levi's, when the Niners were just hot garbage, Chip Kelly, Jim Tomsula, all that kind of stuff. I mean, when it was that, Seahawks fans would just take that place over. It was ridiculous. But not anymore. They don't do it. And then now it's 53% according to that graphic. And this is week 1. I mean, this is when even like opening day, even if you're crummy in baseball, opening day, I mean, everyone's like, woohoo. And then, at least a month into the season, then, okay, none of your fans come anymore and you sell all your fans to Dodgers, or your tickets to Dodgers fans. But my God, it's week 1. You're already selling your tickets to Niners fans? Right on, man. That's unbelievable. Yeah, they pump it in. They know it. We know that they know it. Pump it in. Anyway, that's a dark room you're sitting in there. Let's see. Yeah, that's a great point. People have moved from California, Nevada to Washington. The fans up there have taken over. That's true. That's a good point. Yeah, that's a great point, actually. But still, that is pretty shocking. I mean, they had a great fan base for a while, and I don't know what it's going to take. I mean, like I said, they weren't a bad team last year. They won 10 games, and they look like they're on the up and up with Mike McDonald. But man, 53%. So, I mean, it's just as bad, if not, it's worse at SoFi South. What would you say? Rams games? I mean, that's at least a 60-40. I mean, that thing, you look up at when you're at SoFi and, we're in a radio booth, so we're kind of in towards one of the end zones. But when it's kickoff, and it looks like a sea of red there. It might be 70-30 at that place. It is just crazy. Yeah, you might be onto something. 49ers are a brand, the Seahawks are returning. And when the Seahawks win, their fans come out. But, they're not a bad team. But it is, you're talking about, again, 53% for week 1. That's crazy, man. Hey, John, how's Papa doing? He'll be missed this season. Send him my best wishes. Thank you very much. I love it when people bring him up. I haven't talked to him in a few days, but like I said, he is always giving me encouragement. He is damn set on beating this thing, and he is in good spirits. Keep those prayers coming, though. I'll tell you that. And he feels it, by the way. He told me to tell you that he feels it. And he did say when he's feeling better, he's going to jump on. So I will let you know when he's feeling better. But thank you for keeping him in your prayers, man, because he misses it. And what is it going to do? It's going to take like 19 people to replace him this year. It's going to take him like a million people to replace him. So just make sure that you keep those prayers coming, because he digs that. He really digs that. So thank you for bringing that up. I love it when you guys bring them up. So thank you very much for doing that. Let's see, where are we at on the board tonight? Kyle, number 1, expensive offense. Seattle, not so much. Niners fans traveling. That's where we are. Any questions, comments, thoughts before I get to this video with Joe Montana? This is kind of funny, and I do have a little bit of a Giants for you, because we have to show you this thing that happened between the Giants and the Rockies tonight. Hey, Scott, it's good to see you. J49, if I didn't say good evening to you, it's great to have you. By the way, Filthy Casual, very nice to have you, my friend. By the way, great time to say thank you for tuning in tonight. If you're watching on X at John Lund Radio, much appreciated. Give me your questions, comments, thoughts. We're on the chat line tonight. If you want to come on over to John Lund Unleashed on YouTube, that would be dandy. We don't bite, so come on over. Hang out for the entire season. That would be really outstanding. We would appreciate that. If you do want your questions, comments, or thoughts on the board, all you got to do is hit us with the super. Not only do you get on the board, but you support the show, which is absolutely great. If you're watching later, just hit us with your questions, comments, or thoughts right underneath the show. Or I am often on X at John Lund Radio, so you can follow me there and put your comments there as well. All right. This is cool. So Joe Montana was on Pat McAfee, and the old Cardinals coach was on there, and I'm a big fan. I thought he'd do more, Bruce Arians. I thought he'd do more in media, but he's a good guy. So he was talking to Joe, and he was saying, oh, by the way, thank you, Mario. Very nice. And I love Krug. It's not a choice. You can watch everybody, but John, you had to switch me over from Krug. So thanks. I appreciate it. Here's Bruce Arians talking to Joe Montana, and this is Joe's. We love lists, of course. Here is Joe's top 3 quarterbacks right now, and he couldn't choose Brock. Here's what Joe said today on the Pat McAfee show, and he's talking to Bruce Arians.
You can't take Brock.
Boom.
Okay, Brock is your number 1 pick. We know that.
Yep.
So you love Brock Purdy. You love Brock Purdy.
Yeah. I'm taking the guy in Buffalo.
Okay, Josh Allen.
Yeah.
All right.
Josh. The guy that surprised me that I thought would, obviously Joe Burrow's another guy I like a lot.
Okay.
And believe it or not, I like the guy with the Chargers. Just Herbert. Just Herbert. I think they've kind of gone by the wayside there, but I don't know. I just like the way those 3 guys are.
BA, how do you feel about his top?
I do also like the guy in Philly though, and
Jalen Hurts. Okay, won a Super Bowl. We do like him. Brock Purdy, obviously number 1. He was left out.
Correct.
Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, and Jalen Hurts is his Mount Rushmore outside of Brock Purdy. BA, did you expect that from Joe Montana?
I thought he might have thrown Patrick Mahomes in there, but I think it states how.
Well, I think I would have if he was younger. I think he's still a great
GM.
Although I got to go back. They're not getting hit as much today, so we'd probably play forever. So I should probably added Patrick.
Joe took everybody. Like, that was my whole point of playing. Like, pick somebody. First of all, just because he's affiliated. So he always says Brock. So they said, okay, he throws Brock out. So he goes with Josh Allen, number 1. I got to tell you, man, not a lot of people put Josh Allen number 1. Fireball's own, by the way. Josh Allen at number 1. I started thinking about it. When you're a pure quarterback like Joe, nobody says Lamar Jackson. And until Lamar gets to and wins the Super Bowl, I don't know if anybody is. But there's the big 4, right? And then he puts Burrow number 2, right, on his board. He puts Justin Herbert in there. And to me, Herbert has all these great physical traits. I love the kid. I've talked to him and interviewed him, and he's a great kid, and I love him. But I don't know if he's ever going to flourish with Harbaugh as his head coach, not because Harbaugh can't coach quarterbacks. Clearly, Harbaugh can. But what Harbaugh wants to do is we know he wants to run the football, play defense, run the ball, play defense. They're going to be good, but it's the same thing with Justin Herbert. He's never even won a playoff game, and the last time he was in a playoff game, what'd they do? Jacksonville came back on him. So you've got to marry, I should say, the success of your team with your quarterback. And so because Justin Herbert hasn't done that, regardless of his wonderful physical gifts, you can't put him in the top 5. You can do whatever the hell you want. You do you, but I can't. And then he's throwing in all these different names. Burrow's amazing, but the same kind of a thing. They're kind of up and down, not his fault because the Bengals are the Bengals. And the latest on that is, and look, they got Jamar Chase done, but then it takes Hendrickson, and then Hendrickson gets a 1-year deal, and then he's going to leave. They're just one of those teams that kind of goes like this, just kind of goes up and down, up and down. So I don't know if Cincinnati's ever going to get to that point, even though they've got amazing offensive weapons, and Joe Burrow's about as good as it gets. At some point, and I know he just signed a couple of years ago, at some point, Burrow's going to be like Carson Palmer was, where he just goes, I'm so sick of the cheapness. I just got to get out of here. Because I don't know if he can ever win a Super Bowl there. Like they got really close, and they beat Kansas City the one time, and they got into the Super Bowl, and they played the Rams. I don't know if they can ever get close enough. But Burrow's got to get just the one. But I mean, in terms of just throw out the win-loss and throw out, all the things that you're supposed to have to do as a quarterback to get to the best, Burrow's got to be in, that big top 4, along with Josh Allen, along with Lamar, right, and along with Patrick Mahomes. And then it was interesting at the end because Joe says, well, if Mahomes, what did Mahomes just turn 30? I mean, it's so funny because, to be honest, and I know as a 49ers fan, you hate Mahomes, but I tell you all the time, I'm not here to blow smoke up your ass. If you took truth serum and you had a game to win, and this is kind of how I look at quarterbacks, and everybody does it differently, right? How do you determine? This is what's so fun when everybody makes a list and says who's the best this or that. The way I look at it or to determine it, is to say, okay, I got a game to win, right? And I can start one quarterback. This is how I determine the best. One game to win, Super Bowl. Who do I pick? Who do I choose? Who's my guy? Do I choose Josh Allen? Never done it. As great as I think he is, Josh Allen, never done it. Joe Burrow, never done it. Lamar Jackson, never done it. Why haven't those guys done it? Because Patrick Mahomes steals it from them every single time. And they've had him beat. Well, I will say Joe Burrow has beaten them. Joe Burrow has beaten them. So somebody's going to put that on the chat line right now. But I mean, Joe Burrow's beaten them, and then he just couldn't beat the Rams. And the thing that sucked about that year was, and I was sitting there, and as I've told you this a million times, I was in the booth watching the confetti fall and everything. And if the Niners had beaten the Rams, then they would have played the Bengals in the Super Bowl and not Mahomes. Tart catch the interception. He's not going to. But so Burrow did it one time, but Lamar hasn't done it. Josh Allen hasn't done it. And it's always Mahomes. So if I had a game to win right now, I'd still say Mahomes. And if you look at the stats, and all the dorks and all the geeks look at the stats and they go, but Mahomes' numbers are down. Yeah, okay. There's no doubt. I can't deny that. But if I had one game to win, he'd be the guy. But you're right. And then somebody just filthy casual just said he's 29. I know. We throw guys away so quickly, and yet what did Brady play till 45? I mean, I still don't think I don't think that Mahomes is old. And I just saw this one. And I don't disagree with you on this. His numbers have not been good. But it also goes to the fact that, and this drives me crazy when all the analysts say this. Well, Brock Purdy just, if he doesn't have the guys around him, he can't be very good. That's every quarterback in history. It is. I mean, if you want to look at Peyton Manning, he had Marvin Harrison. He's in the Hall of Fame. He had Edgerrin James. He's in the Hall of Fame. He had Reggie Wayne. Who did Tom Brady have? He had Randy Moss. He had Rob Gronkowski. Everybody has somebody. Everybody, all of them. Joe had Jerry and John Taylor and et cetera, et cetera. I mean, go on down the line. Name me a quarterback, I'll tell you. So Patrick Mahomes doesn't have Tyreek Hill anymore. It makes the game a lot easier. He still has Travis Kelce. He still has some decent players, but look what he has to work with. Every single year, he has, not lesser, I won't say that, but his wide receiver core isn't what it was. When you have Tyreek Hill stretching defenses and Travis Kelce in his prime underneath, you're going to be really good. He doesn't have that and hasn't had that for a few years. His wide receivers, he's not anymore, but I mean, it was like Marquez Valdez-Scantling and McCole Hardman coming back. And they're better now, but he still doesn't have the elite receivers he has. Therefore, they're not as good. And what really Kansas City's doing, and the 49ers know this, and so do you as a fan, they beat the 49ers in Las Vegas because of their defense. That's what they did. And so Mahomes is really, really good. And I still take him. Like I said, if I'm going to win a game, I'm going to I'm going to say Patrick Mahomes. But look, Josh Allen's not a wrong answer, and that's what Joe said. And, I would really like to give Joe true sermon and just say, what do you think of Brock? Because it's kind of the reason why I wanted to bring this up is I do wonder where he would put him. And I think Brock is a top 10 quarterback. If on a given Sunday, I say this all the time. I was talking to a friend of mine today about this. The top 4 quarterbacks are, I don't think there's any debate. But then you get to number 5, and I could put Matthew Stafford there. I could put Justin Herbert there. I could put Brock Purdy there. I could put Jaden Daniels there, who, look, I'm not going to put Jaden Daniels in any kind of top 5 or top 10 conversations because a quarterback's got to do it for more than 1 year. When CJ Stroud was in this exact position a year ago, people were just like, oh my God, he's top 5. And then he kind of didn't have a really good year. Like, do it for more than 1 year. Because now everybody's going to be like, okay, you're not sneaking up on me anymore. Let's see what you can do. And I'm not saying the kid isn't good. He's really good. But after the top 4, then it's kind of beauty's in the eye of the beholder, or it's any given Sunday kind of thing. Like that guy, look, Matthew Stafford's 37 years old and has a bad back. But he could go out there against the Texans in week 1 and be the 5th best quarterback in the league. Daniels could do that. Brock could do that in Seattle. Sam Darnold could do that. I know that's crazy to say, but there a lot of different quarterbacks on any given Sunday could be that next best quarterback. Hell, Baker Mayfield could do it. There's no consensus really, but I think, consistently Brock's a top 10, and I don't know why he doesn't get more love. I really don't. It's crazy. But I do think he's going to have a good year this year. Anyway, anytime you can have a QB conversation, I love having it. So that's basically why I played that video, so we can have a quarterback conversation. And you were going to see right through that, so I thought I would just mention it. Let's see. Any thoughts on that? Everybody's still mad that Montana went to Kansas City. That's funny. Let's see. Yeah, look, what's funny about Brock is I don't care, but he keeps notes on everybody. He really does. He's just like, whatever. People can say whatever they want. When the Niners are healthy and Brock doesn't have to put too much on his shoulders, the guy's really, really good. And I, you know what? I don't know if you're like this. I'm over the fact that they don't put him in the top 10 and the top this and the top that. Whatever. Honestly, I don't think he cares. All right, let's before I throw you the interview and we go behind enemy lines with my good friend Ian FURNESS from KJR in Seattle. We'll give you a little insight into the Seahawks for about 20 minutes. This happened tonight, and anybody who said that the Rafael Devers trade was stupid, I didn't say that one time. And I'll tell you when I say something stupid, which I often do. But the Devers thing, I was just like, they give up Kyle Harrison, a first-round pick who already has been flipped to the Dodgers, and James Tibbs. An A-ball pitcher who the hell knows, and they didn't give up hardly anything. And I like Kyle Harrison, I do, but it was like you're getting one of the best hitters in baseball. And between the Red Sox and the Giants this year, he's going to hit something like 35 home runs and knock like in 110. And so he just blasts another screamer to right. And then Kyle Freeland, who at times early in his career looked like he might be something. But, you play for the Rockies. It's an unfair ballpark. You get pissed off. You give up a screamer, and then you get pissed. And then this happens.
5 games out of the final wild card spot. Devers skies one to right. Way up there. And gone. Another one for Rafi Devers. And Kyle Freeland, the benches are clearing. Devers is trying to round the bases. Freeland was unhappy, and now we got punches being thrown. Oh, my goodness. I mean, Devers still hasn't rounded the bases.
By the way, Dave Fleming is just the best. He's just unbelievable. But our baseball fights, football fights are dumber than baseball fights. If we had to rank them, baseball fights are dumber than football fights are dumber than baseball fights because everyone's in combat gear. So what do you do? Punch me and break your hand? Like I'm not going to take my helmet off. Like if I'm there to fight, I'm there to battle. So don't take off your helmet. What was it? Kyle Turley that one Monday Night Football game he was playing for the Saints, and he took his helmet off and swung it and hit a guy in the head on the Jets. So there was that. I remember talking to him at a Super Bowl about it, but everybody clears the benches. The guys come in running from the dugout. It's like, look, man, I understand you're frustrated, Kyle Freeland. And it's kind of like a Madison Bumgarner thing when Max Muncy was crossing the bases, and basically Max Muncy said, "Go get it out of the bay." And I think that am I right in this when he just basically said, "Then don't fucking hang that pitch." I mean, that's basically what he said, right? He said, "Don't fucking hang that pitch then." And that's what he should say. I mean, look, you give up a home run, you're pissed. You play in the Rockies. It's an unfair ballpark. I get it. But if a guy jacks you, man, it is what it is. You know? I mean, I don't know if you're John. I don't know what the hell you're going to say. Like, if a guy takes you deep like that, you just get out, just look, get a ball back, put your glove up, get a ball, get back on the mound. Like, you're a professional. How many of those have you given up in your life? A couple hundred? If you're Kyle Freeland, I mean, I don't know. What's Kyle Freeland? Late 20s? I mean, you've given up a million of those. You play for the Rockies. You give up home runs all the time. I know you're frustrated. Just get back on the mound. And then everybody has to come running out and everything. I don't know if there was any punches thrown. Dave said there was. I watched that from a couple of different angles. I don't know. If I was a Giant, I wouldn't throw any punches just from the Mike Morse, Jeff Samardzija. I mean, what was that, 10 years ago? But I mean, my God, man. Anyway. And the other point to it is Rafael Devers is just on a screamer. He was the player of the week. And safe to say that he's used to playing with the Giants now. It took him a minute. But anyway, ridiculous. Just ridiculous, man, that they did that. But anyway, Dave Fleming's the best too. And Javi Lopez was good. You can see that somewhere on a bunch of different angles. But there you go. Yeah, show the other angle. Yeah, I don't have the other angle. I did see the other angle, but I just wanted to kind of show that because YouTube gets all pissy when you play a bunch of those, and then they make you remove it later anyway. So I just thought I'd show the quick version of it, and maybe they won't get on it. Yeah, I love hockey fights because you know what they do in a hockey fight? They just go, just do it. Just get it out of the way. And then really, all they do is they, even the official's standing right there. The ref is standing right there. And then when somebody gets their sweater pulled over their head and then they're pummeling one guy, then they just break it up. And then they just go to the box for a little while. So, I'm okay with it. Like, seriously, if they wanted to have like Devers and Freeland fight for a minute and just like, okay, that's enough time. That'd be fine. You gave up a home run, whatever. And it's got to be frustrating playing for the Rockies. But then again, I mean, you're still getting a big paycheck to pitch. I mean, what's the big deal? Playing a kid's game. What do they say? King's game. You're playing a kid's game for a king's ransom. Kid's game, king's ransom. That's how it goes. Anyway, whatever. So there you go. Oh, really? Are they losing? See, they went 69 and 69. I got happy about that. I'm not going to get pulled into that thing again. People are like, they're going to make the wild card. I'm like, no, they're not. But who knows? Are they really screwing it up again? I'm not going to watch. I already got it in my head that they're not going to come back to the wild card, and so I already said that. Hell with it. Yeah. This is his last year. He's traveling. Actually, my USC friend Carlos. He's traveling with the ASU football team, so he's going to Starkville, Mississippi this week, and he's in his senior year, so that should be fun. I was going to say, has he ever been to Mississippi? He has not. He has definitely not been to Starkville, Mississippi. 5-4 Giants. All right, I'll flip it on. All right. Let's do behind enemy. Did you say Patrick Bailey just hit a 2-run home run? I don't believe you. Maybe he did. You could be. Why would you lie about that? You didn't. All right. Let's go behind enemy lines a little bit. So this is my good friend Ian FURNESS, KJR in Seattle. Let me give you a little background on this. Ian and I have known each other for about 25 years. He used to be he's a talk show host, but he's done TV for years and years. Good looking guy. Hockey guy at heart. Went to Washington State, hockey guy at heart, been calling minor league hockey for years and years and years. And now he does the pregame and intermission and postgame for the Seattle Kraken on TV in Seattle. And he's their backup play-by-play guy on TV too. And he's an amazing hockey play-by-play guy. Plus, he traveled with the Seahawks for probably 20 years for the Fox affiliate up in Seattle, Fox 13, and is an anchor up there too. Plus, has a sports talk show from 1 to 3 up in Seattle on KGR in Seattle. So suffice to say, the dude is busy. He was actually in this interview up at Kraken headquarters, and he actually shows us the ice. He's in some side room and getting ready for a fantasy football draft. So the dude just has no life but sports and knows the Seahawks very, very well. And like I said, old friend of mine. We worked together for years at a couple of different radio stations, and kind enough to give us about 20 minutes to go behind enemy lines to get us a little preview of Seahawks and 49ers. So without further ado, here is my good friend Ian FURNESS giving us a little preview of Seahawks or 49ers at Seahawks this Sunday at Lumen Field. friend, but I'm just going to call him my friend. He is Ian Furness. He is everywhere. He is a former, which doesn't mean he's not still that great, Washington State Broadcaster of the Year just a couple of years ago. The Kraken, he's really a hockey guy, eh? But used to cover the Seahawks, constantly complained about Candlestick Park, possibly the greatest NFL stadium of all time. But whatever, man. He can do whatever he wants. Really was a big fan of Levi's Stadium. Like I said, traveled with the Seahawks for many years. And we're going to talk Seahawks and 49ers right now. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, my good friend, Ian Furness up in Seattle. What's going on? How are you?
I am your old friend, too, because I am old.
Yeah. Well, you got the gray beard and everything. Yeah. But hey, you're still rocking and rolling, man. You're good. You're good.
You know what? We're both above ground, buddy. Like, that's all that matters.
That's all
hey, like you mentioned the Kraken. I think I'm going to try something here. I'm actually at the Kraken practice facility at their headquarters. Let me see if I can do this. I'm at, oh, you can see it. There you go.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Look at that. Dude.
I mean, we're right there. Yeah.
That is cool.
Yeah, we're right here. Yeah. This is
right. Oh
coming at you live from the
that's
Kraken
legit.
Community Iceplex, fella. Here we go.
That is way cool.
Nice.
And so, in addition to you do a radio show from 1 to 3 on KJR in Seattle,
1 to 3,
and then
it's heavy lifting, buddy. It's 2 hours.
And then your Kraken duties. What during the season? You're like pre-half post TV guy, right?
Yeah, that we call intermission, not halftime, but yeah, it's intermission.
Intermission.
Pregame, intermission. Yeah, pregame, intermission, and postgame. So, we get things going here pretty quick. October 9th, I guess, is the opener. So, yeah, here we go. Let's, I got to enjoy some football before then.
All right, let's get to it. We'll get into a little bit of everything, but let's just start. You know, Seattle 10-7 last year, first year under Mike McDonald, and look, I like the guy. I think that the second year with this defense and coming over from the Ravens, and they've added more defensive pieces, and I just like what they're doing. So you've been in camp. They give you guys really good access to camp up there. Just give me your impression of first of all, before we get into the season, just what was camp like for the Seahawks, and how do you see them kind of coming into the season?
Well, I think year 2 is different, right? It's McDonald seems to have really a good handle on things and what he's doing and what he wants to do. And, year 2 is always probably hopefully better than year 1 if you get the second year. And I say that because, Jim Mora got 1 year and he was turfed here in Seattle. And we see that in the NFL all the time. But they told us last year, John, with the defense, and McDonald's a defensive guy. People don't know he's a former Ravens defensive coordinator. He's a defensive guy. And they said it's going to take a while to get his defense implemented. A lot of communication. They do a lot of checks, kind of like an offense. And stuff like that, the line of scrimmage. And we saw the fruits of the labor. Then when they picked up Ernest Jones, their middle linebacker last year, who inexplicably was cut by the Rams earlier, traded by the Rams to Tennessee, and then Tennessee let him go. Guy's a borderline Pro Bowler. Just weird. But once they still that linebacker position, those two this last night, defense took off. They were top 7, 8, 5, depending on which week you want to look at defense the latter half of the season. The question was the offense. They fired Ryan Grubb after 1 year. The offensive coordinator used to be at Washington with Kalen DeBoer. Yes, Kalen DeBoer that's at Alabama and probably will get fired here in the next 3 weeks. And Grubb ended up going back down there. But yeah, DeBoer, man, he just, Grubb was just over his skis. It just didn't work, and Gino, frankly, was playing for Gino. He was playing for a contract. He had a couple bonuses in his contract for completion percentage, and we saw that. He turned into check down Charlie at the end of the year. The offensive line was a mess. They think they've got that figured out, mostly because the health of the two tackles is there. Cross and Lucas are both healthy for the first time since they were both rookies at the same time. Lucas did play the final 7 games last year. They were 5-2 when he played. It was a disaster last season. They probably started 4 to 5 right guards during the year, and the left guard was not much better. So they drafted a first-round pick in the left guard in Gray Zabel. He's looked great. Cross is healthy. Jalen Sundell is going to be the center kind of by default. Ola Timmy got hurt in camp. He'll be the backup. And then they settled on Anthony Bradford, who looks like he's improved, and this game fits him better. Bring in Sam Darnold, new offense, and an offense that when people lay eyes on it on Sunday in the Bay Area, they're going to go, wait a second, that looks like a familiar offense. Wait, who's calling plays again? Some guy named Kubiak? Yeah, so it's been interesting. I think they're a better football team, John, than they're getting credit for, but they got to prove it.
Yeah, and it's like it kind of goes, and you and I talked about this on your show today. It's kind of gone in waves, and I don't know if it's ready to flip to Seattle, but I just know this. The crowd, and this is Nick Wagner put this out according to Vivid Seats, it might be more 50-50, might be in the Niners' favor, but this has been a tough place at times to play, so I don't know how that's going to play out, but I just know this. It's going to come down to, I think, that line you just talked about, and I know Gray Zabel looked really, really good against a young line for the 49ers in Mikael Williams, their first-round pick. And it's going to take a while for this defense. Robert Saleh said maybe 6 to 8 starters. Now, that's not going to be the case, at least in week 1, but there's going to be 4 or 5. And there's those 6 to 8 guys, there's going to be a lot of them in there. So how improved can this line be? And is the way they ran the football in the preseason, can they take that into the regular season? Because to me, you just mentioned the Kubiaks, even though Kyle Shanahan's calling the plays, these are very similar offenses, and they want to do the same thing. So it's going to be the Seahawks offensive line improved, maybe offensive line versus a young defensive line outside of Nick Bosa as far as the Niners. And then when you flip it, I think it's the same way. Mike McDonald's defense, especially that front seven, and outside of Trent Williams, not really a great offensive line. How do you see the trenches?
Well, I think that's the thing. I mean, people up here hate this. I mean, I hate saying it because nobody likes the 49ers. But the 49ers, with their success against Seattle the last few years, as things have turned, it's because they've dominated the line of scrimmage on both sides. You know, and so the question that we don't know, and we'll find out hopefully Sunday, is has Seattle closed the gap on the two lines? Have they closed the gap on the offensive line? Have they closed the gap on the defensive line against the San Francisco 49ers on their offensive line? You mentioned, Trent Williams is who he is. There are some question marks. You and I've talked about that a lot on my show for San Francisco. Like Seattle's strength is their defensive line. They're deep. They don't have like the elite, 15 sack edge rusher, but they've got depth and they've got a lot of experience. They added DeMarcus Lawrence in the offseason. Mafe Hall, those guys are playing for contracts. I think they're good up front. But yeah, it doesn't matter if you can't run the football. McDonald's a defensive guy, and there's not a defensive coach in the world that doesn't want to run the football. And that's what they want to do. They want to run the football, and they want to establish that. I think Ken Walker being healthy will help. He hasn't been healthy at all since his rookie year. He's missed a handful of games every year. And it's weird because people, I hate this. I mean, there's some, we live in a world of morons. You know that. Like a lot of morons out there. And it's like, oh, he's injury prone. He's this. Go look at Ken Walker, man, and tell me that this guy he's built out of granite. Bad things happen in football. It's a violent sport. Sometimes you get hurt. Things happen. If he stays healthy, and that's a big if, but I don't think it's because he's injury prone. I think it's just he's had bad luck. Like guys have bad luck. But if healthy, he's an elite running back. We saw that his rookie year when he had 1,000 yards. Darnold fits this offense probably better than Geno did. Is Cooper Kupp? If Cooper Kupp's 80% of what he used to be, and he hasn't missed, John, here's the thing with Cooper Kupp that's interesting. I'm going to jinx everything right now, and I'm going to get blamed for this later. Cooper Kupp has not missed a workout or a practice, including OTAs, mini camps, training camp, etc. Guy hasn't missed anything. Yeah, there you go. Here it comes, right? But think about that. In a day and age, I mean, you're out at camp, and training camp's one thing, but when you have guys like Cooper Kupp that don't miss OTAs and mini camps, or just don't even get veteran days off, that tells you something. This guy's committed. So, and then JSN had 100 yards, 100 catches last season, 1,000 yards. So I think they're good. I just think this division's a beast. Yeah. This division's hard. And to start against each other, bigger game for Seattle than it is for San Francisco. San Francisco loses this. Okay, you lost a road game to a divisional opponent, whatever. Make sure you get it later on. Seattle loses this game. No,
it's a good point because the Niners have a really easy schedule, at least on paper. They go to New Orleans the next week. They can get back on track really easy. Yeah. We talked about the running game and what both teams want to do. And like you said, Kubiak's on either side, very similar offenses now. Mm-hmm. But you just mentioned a big thing. We know Sam Darnold. He was here a couple of years ago, resurrected his career, had a great year in Minnesota, and some people are down on him. I don't think it's a downgrade. I agree with you. Geno Smith is going to the Raiders. I got a lot of respect for how he resurrected his career after Russ left after that trade with Denver, which was a boon for Seattle. I happen to think that Sam's going to be good, and a lot of people like Sam Darnold, especially in the 49ers building. But losing DK, losing Lockett, it's a totally different thing. I really like Arroyo, the kid they got out of Miami. The tight end out of Michigan, Barner's underrated, I believe. So what's the passing game going to look like? And the reason I ask is because Cooper Kupp is a slot guy and JSN is a slot guy. So they're obviously both aren't going to be playing in the slot at the same time. And the reason why it's such a big deal is because the Niners have a rookie that he just jumped right off the page, a third-round kid out of Western Kentucky. And from day one, actually from OTAs, was awesome. And then in camp, he was awesome. Then he got hurt. He played in no preseason games. And he's listed as the top nickel corner. And so both those guys are going to be scrambling to get to him. And I think he's going to be really, really good, but I don't know if he's going to be really, really good in week one. So how are they going to distribute the wide receivers? And I love Torrey Horton, for people who forget, here in the Bay. He was really good at Colorado State, but then he got hurt last year, so didn't play. And so those are their top receivers. How are they going to work those reps out? Who's going to be in the slot? How are they going to do that? And we know DK's gone. Lockett made a ton of great catches against the Niners. How does that receiver core look, and who's going to be in the slot?
Well, I think the way that formation is with that Kubiak offense, as tight as those splits are, it's going to be – I don't even know if there's such a thing as a slot guy, because they're so close to the line of scrimmage, right? And they play you guys know better than anybody, they play a lot of 21 and 22 personnel with two backs, being the first number is the backs. Robbie Oots is a tight end. In Alabama, they drafted him to play fullback, and he's going to play a ton. I mean, it's, he's going to play.
He had a badass preseason, didn't he?
Dude,
that kid's good.
Yeah, he likes to hit people. Like I sat down with him. He had a great line. He was talking about finally getting to pads. He's like, yeah, I'm so sick of this stuff, man. I want to get in pads. I want to hit somebody. I'm sick of these defensive guys chirping. Like the guy's just fullback through and through, but he's a big fullback. Like he's 6'3", 270, but he was a tight end in college. He moves, and he can catch the football. They used him for that in that Chiefs game. You saw, that Chiefs preseason game, I'll say this. He's athletic. He's big. He doesn't have the experience of a Juszczyk, right? And guys like that at that position. But boy, he sure looks good. His first block, the first game he played, his first block and first play, I think it was, they run off the left side, their wide zone. And the guy that steps up, that is first guy he sees in the National Football League that's not a Seahawk teammate in a practice, is some guy named Max Crosby. And he put him on his ass.
Yeah.
It's like,
it was a George Holani run, right? Was that what it was?
Yeah.
I saw that play.
And I think Crosby's like, first of all, okay, first of all, we're preseason. Second of all, probably went over to Pete and said, Pete, what I'm in this game again? I don't need some big goof from Alabama putting me down in the first game. But I think, we'll see how he translates there. Torrey Horton, you mentioned, is the guy wide receiver wise. They cut Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Who, by the way, the Niners are put on the active today. So he's going to be playing too.
Yeah.
For the Niners.
Just as an FYI, I think, and you understand this, let's use some common sense. If Seattle with Cooper Kupp, question mark health, JSN, young guy, slot guy, a rookie in Torrey Horton, Jake Bobo, who's a great blocking wide receiver, good possession guy, but Cooper Kupp probably is 5 times faster than him. So just think about that for a second. Derek Young, who's been here for a while, special teams guy, always looks great in preseason. He's always preseason All-Pro, has like 3 catches in his career. Right. If Seattle has that receiving group and they cut Valdez-Scantling, that probably tells you all you need to know about MVS,
yeah,
right? I mean, he just didn't do anything in camp. Horton's the guy they're going to really count on to take the top off. Like he's the guy. And if he's healthy, again, he kind of got banged up in college. That's why he slipped in the draft. I mean, he was a day 2 guy at worst in the draft until he got hurt. And NFL teams, they forget guys actually heal. So if a guy's banged up in the combine process, we got to stay away from him. He's been really impressive, John. Really, really impressive. But I just think it's going to be a lot of 2 receiver sets anyway, with Kupp and JSN and 1 or 2 tight ends in there and a fullback, and that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. And that's what the Niners want to do, especially with their short at wide receiver, obviously, with what they've going on. And they got Jennings back, and they'll play Pearsall. And then, like you said, I think they'll go double tight, keep Juszczyk in there. And I think they're going to mirror each other offensively, and whoever can run the ball best. I think that's what it comes down to. And I know it's boring to say, and I know it's all those kind of things. The other thing, too, is it comes down to, for the 49ers, they blew so many games through special teams last year. They got a new punter. They're going to be watching their kicker, Jake Moody. That's something, if it gets loud up there and the kind of weird stuff that happens up in Seattle, I'd watch their kicker this year. We constantly are talking about Jake Moody. They got a new center. They got brought in a bunch of new special teams guys. I know the Seahawks are pretty solid in that regard. But, if it comes down to a close game. Now, here's the thing. I've been telling a bunch of people on the show, Seattle's going to be better defensively. Watch out. I know you mentioned it really quickly, but the defensive backs, Eminwari is a guy that they got from South Carolina. Witherspoon is still in the slot. Tariq Woolen is playing for a contract.
Yep.
Tell us kind of that kind of thing, because like you said, Jennings is hardly participated in camp, but he's going to play because he's got 625,000 reasons to play, because he's got game roster bonuses to play. He's going to play. Pearsall had a really nice camp. I don't know who's going to be their third. Could be MVS. They cut Russell Gage, but they're going to bring him back, practice squad. That's just kind of a thing, so they don't have to guarantee contracts, but he'll play. They're not going to have a great core, So it's going to come down to like George Kittle, who's had lots of great games against the Seahawks. I think it's going to be, if he's not running it, I think CMC is going to be big in the pass game. So just pass defense-wise, those young guys coming at him. But, especially that secondary. I thought Witherspoon was great as a rookie. I just thought he was okay last year. Is that accurate?
No, I'd say he was great. The problem is team stayed away from him.
Yeah.
Like Woolen struggled a little bit last year. They need him to bounce back. I mean, 3 years ago, the guy was right there with Sauce Gardner for Rookie of the Year. Right. And then he's kind of has taken a couple steps back, but he was challenged by McDonald in the offseason and, by all accounts has responded. Witherspoon's elite. Guys stay away from him. They just do. And he moves everywhere. He'll play on the boundary. He'll play in the slot. He'll play everywhere. You mentioned him in Worry. He wears number 3. When he got drafted, everybody kind of, he's a safety. It was like, Cam Chancellor 2.0. First of all, there was only one of those. Like there was one. Like there was one dude. Like you can ask your old tight end about that guy. Like there was one. Yeah. There was 131, right? Yeah. I think Vernon Davis is still picking up pieces of his body at Lumen Field. But this guy's not as thick as Cam was. Cam was just an absolute, he was a terror. He was a menace, absolute assassin. This guy isn't quite, but this guy does hit. And he's 6'3", one of the most athletic safeties in the draft. He wears number 3, so he's about 4 feet taller than the guy that used to wear number 3 here. The guy you're taller than.
Yeah, I know. That corny guy.
Mr. What a great trade. What an absolute tool.
They should just retire that number just so nobody, not because he was so great, which at times he was, but still, it's like just, oh my God. Anyway,
no, I love watching this guy. It's like, whoa, that doesn't look like Russ. That guy's, he can actually get on the rides at the carnival there by the stadium you guys play.
Wow.
No, I've been worried. He's going to be fun to watch. He is physical, and I don't want to downplay that. He is physical. Mm-hmm. He's not Cam, but he's physical. He's tall. He's big. Tested off the charts for a guy 6'3". He's going to be a difference maker, man. And they're going to use him a lot. They'll play a lot. They'll play. Hell, in the NFL these days, what is it, about 70% of the time you're playing nickel of some sort. They'll play big nickel with him a lot, with Woolen and Witherspoon, and you'll see that a ton on this defense. And they're deep. I think Reek Woolen's going to bounce back this year. He's got all the tools. But one of the things that happened, John, and you guys probably saw this with Kyle and John when they first got there. When McDonald came in, he inherited things, and they kind of forced Grubb and Scott Huff, the offensive line coach, on him. Did Schneider? The players, the roster was set outside of the draft, and now he's got his guys. Like he's got his guys. Geno wasn't a guy that bought into Mike McDonald. DK wanted too much money. Tyler was at the end of his career. Lockett, and then even some other guys they let go along the way. Some offensive linemen, some different guys that they let go, they just weren't McDonald guys. And, it's interesting, like Jaron Reed's been here now forever. Like he left, came back. He's kind of the alpha dog in the defensive meeting room. He's a McDonald guy. DeMarcus Lawrence, Leonard Williams. Those guys are McDonald guys. Witherspoon is a McDonald guy. He'll talk 24/7, 365. He would have been perfect for the Legion of Boom. He would have talked, I'm telling you right now, he would have talked more than Sherm. Like he talks more than Sherm does. In
That's
practice.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's impossible, but it happens. So they've got a little alpha dog in them. They got a little of that junkyard dog mentality that you see in Baltimore. I think he's got his guys that have that mindset. So it's a different Seahawk defense. Where it was in 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, I think it doesn't take much. They got away from that. They just got away from that. I think this is a lot tougher group than you've seen in a long time.
I think it's going to be fun, man. Just before I let you go, what do you see Sunday? I'm not asking you for prediction, anything, but like I said, I think people forget this was a 10-7 team and it was a first-year coach.
Yeah.
And I think you just hit it right on the head. It takes you a minute, and I still think it's going to take him a minute to get exactly the guys he wants. But this was the guy that gave the Niners trouble. He kind of has a hybrid kind of a defense. He can be an amoeba. He's not Pete Carroll. You know what we're going to do, and you just have to be better than us at it. I think this guy can bring lots of different things to the table. And like I said, I know that the Niners are a favorite, and I'm not sure which way I'm leaning yet. I think it's going to be a tough game, a good game, but I think people are underestimating the Seahawks, and I do think it's going to be maybe a low-scoring type of thing just because they're going to be running the ball. I think, I'm thinking something like, maybe I might even go lower than this, but like a 23-20 or 2017 or something in that range. And I think it's going to be back to the Harbaugh-Carroll days. I think it's going to be bloodbath, physical kind of a game.
Outside of a pick 6 or 2.
Yeah, right. If somebody makes a mistake.
Yeah, that changes the score, but I'm with you. I think 24-20, 23-21. Like it's gonna be like bet the under. I feel like that's gonna happen. And you mentioned Seattle's record last year. It is funny how they went 10-7. We kind of call it 9.5 and 6.5 because they are 8.5 because they the last game of the year they got eliminated from the postseason, and the Rams clinched the division.
Right.
I think we thank Jake Moody for that, right? And a couple drop balls in that Rams game.
Oh, it's brutal. The special teams are so bad.
So bad. And
the Niners should have beat the Rams twice last year. It's unbelievable.
Because the Rams were 10-7. Seattle was 10-7 as well.
Yeah.
But the Rams won like the third tiebreaker. So that last game didn't matter. So Seattle goes in there. The Rams play their backup. Seattle wins it to get to 10 wins. So let's just say they were 9-8 in his first year.
Yeah.
Like, pretty good. Like, not bad, right? So you can live with that. So I think it's going to be low scoring, though. And I think it's going to be a bloodbath. I think they're going to bludgeon each other. And then we'll see what happens because the Rams still are good, unfortunately. They play
the Texans, though. That's not going to be an easy game.
Hopefully CJ gets it going against them. And, Arizona's weird. Like, who knows? They play hard with Jonathan Gannon. They play hard, but Kyler Murray will implode a couple times during the year, and we'll know that's going to happen.
I just don't trust them.
No, they're
and I like Gannon. I like Gannon as their head coach, but they just don't have the talent yet. Like you said, as long as Murray is around, they might hang around 8-9, 9-8, 7-10, kind of.
That's where
so that's where they are. And then what the Rams, it's Stafford's back. I mean, he's of that age, and he didn't practice. He didn't have a lot of camp, and he's good. When people talk about the big four quarterbacks in the league, that's it. And then on any given Sunday, Stafford would be 5. I mean, that's how good he is. But the back sometimes may not allow him to be that. And so that bears watching. So who knows? But
I'm a Kyron Williams fan, though. I think he's good. Yeah. I think he's really good. And
that defense.
Yeah, and the defense is good. You're right though. With Stafford, man, it's really remarkable he doesn't get the credit that he should. It's crazy to me because every time Seattle plays him, it's like, oh, he should have been sacked 5 times, but he wiggled his way out of it, and then he threw like a dart to Puka. Yeah, it's right. It's just
and
like
with Devontae there, it's going to be tough.
Devontae's older than us, isn't he? He's got to be about done.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It would be funny if he got hurt and then remember the receivers thing and he wanted out of Vegas so bad because Jimmy was going to get him killed. And I'm just hoping so bad that Jimmy has to be the quarterback and throw it to him and get him killed. How pissed off he'll get. Anyway,
oh, God.
One can only hope. KJR in Seattle from 1 to 3. Here's the great Ian Furness. Make sure that you follow him social media-wise. How can people scream at you? Because you're always asking people to scream at me. I would like that you would get some back in return. That would be nice.
Hey, screw you. What do they hate down there? They hate when you call them the Niners. Is that right?
Yeah, not as much Niners. San Fran gets the people.
What about Frisco?
Yeah, they don't like Frisco much, but San Fran's really the thing.
Right.
San Fran is
so
worse
all
than
you
Frisco.
San Fran fans, all you San Fran fans,
they're
all
gonna
you
hate
Frisco
you.
fans.
They do not like that. Plus, you ripped Candlestick, and now Candlestick's gone and everything, and all those memories at the stick and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So if you disparage the stick, which you've done, and if you call it San Fran, which you've done.
My memories were fantastic of Candlestick, getting assaulted in the parking lot, carrying gear. Just a dump. I mean, like, can we mix an elevator in for us old guys to get up to the press box?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I think I'm on Twitter, Ian D. Furness.
I hit you up about that whole thing about you don't even have 50% of your own stadium. You don't even have 50% of the tickets sold to you.
Yeah, it's fine. Whatever.
The 12s. Yeah, okay. The 12s. Okay,
listen, I may or may not check my Twitter X or whatever. I'm on the Instagram too. You like this? I pissed off everybody in Portland. Our old town.
Yeah.
I said Adam Silver's using Seattle as leverage for the Blazers, and until they get a new building built. That was like a month ago, and I'm still getting people like chirping at me on Instagram. So
I know you got to leave it alone.
Portland's easy. It's like fish in a barrel with those guys. Like when you live in a world of just smoking hooch and
going to food trucks,
the smell of patchoulis everywhere.
That's such a good line. You're the best, man. All right,
take care,
Ian Furness, check him out in Seattle, 1 to 3.
Fran.
There you go. They're gonna hate you. Thanks, my brother.
See you, buddy.
All right, that's my good friend Ian Furness up in Seattle. Fox 13 on TV. He does intermission, pre and post when the Seattle Kraken, the NHL. He does it all, man, and he's a great hockey play-by-play guy too. But he said San Fran, so attack him, please attack him, and he'll be there on Sunday. So a little behind the enemy lines with Ian Furness at KJR in Seattle. If you'd like to attack him more, 1 to 3 weekdays on KJR in Seattle. All right, there's enough on that. We'll continue to do more. We'll have more from Seattle as the week goes on, but wanted to get you a little bit behind the scenes on what they'll be walking into on Sunday in Seattle. Well, first of all, they'll be walking into 53% Niners fans, but just give you a little more on the Seahawks and Mike McDonald's second year in Seattle. So there you go. All right. I know, and I saw that people were waiting for the sweet, clean, family-friendly Caboose pistol, and this is a wild one tonight. So let's hit it. It's Caboose pistol time.
John Lund Unleashed presents the Caboose pistol.
Wedged in the crack of her buttocks.
Somehow, someway, Lundo thinks this is the best way to leave a final impression on you for the day.
The old Caboose pistol, everybody has one.
Did you say Caboose?
I know some woman who could hide a machine gun in there.
Yeah.
Leave me out of this, you weirdo. Here's John.
All right, FEMA, man. It's a pretty important job, right? You think they'd be working? And it wasn't men. Mostly it's men. FEMA workers fired for watching racially charged porn, bestiality content on government-issued devices at work. Now, look, if you're going to look at any kind of porn, let alone, pretty racy porn, you can't do it at work. I mean, even I know that. Of course, I delved a little bit deeper into this, not because I wanted to, but because I thought this was pretty crazy. So as you can see right there, the one employee, by the way, female, shocked me. Bestiality fantasies? Are you kidding me? Well, another accessed Reddit 578 times. My God, you have time to work? Over 30 days for content including racially charged material, and used a chat bot to, my God, we're all going to hell here, to generate sexually explicit phrases. The investigation also found up to 47% of FEMA workers frequently access social media platforms containing such content during work hours. Must have enough to do. They position the firings as part of a broader clean up on the current administrative following the staff, blah, 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 blah. IT personnel, in summary, confirms that the FEMA staff for viewing extreme, blah, 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 blah. There's a lot of stuff here to discuss. So first and foremost, the first thing that caught my eye was when you're at work, and we used to joke about this all the time. I worked for a radio station and radio stations for a long time, and we did the sweet, clean, family-friendly Caboose pistol for a long time, and people would always ask me, one of the things I got asked all the time was, Lund, when you looked up these weird, strange, offbeat, off-color, whatever, stories, did you ever think, or did any of your IT people ever come up to you and go, hey, why were you looking for these kind of weird stories? And no, they never did. But I knew the IT guys, and I remember going up to one of the guys one of the times, and, stereotypical, and I don't mean to stereotype anybody, but he was kind of a stereotypical IT guy, and I asked him, I go, do you guys ever look up stuff like that? Like, who's using what, or do alarms go off like, when I look at weird, or when people look at weird websites? And he goes, yeah, they do. But he's like, we got so many other things going on that we're not really looking for that kind of stuff. But I did think to myself, like, it's certain places. And I think, FEMA would be one of those places, government computers, where, if you were looking at especially stuff like that, I mean, like, I'm generally, if I looked at stuff, it would be weird stuff. I mean, every once in a while, Pop and I would have like the Dolly the Dolphin story, or, weird stuff like that. But we never went really to that. I mean, I wasn't looking at bestiality and things like that. I never really went to that. I mean, we had Naked Bart Guy one time, and we had the Danny My Anus story. And, there were some weird stories, I could think of off the top of my head, but nothing like that. FEMA workers looking at bestiality about half the time during their work hours. They were looking for sexually charged phrases on Reddit and all those kind of things. And I'm thinking to myself, my God, man, I mean, they've got to have better things to do. It's not like they'd be bored at work, or, wouldn't have things to do at work, and they're on the computer all day long. So I guess that was kind of what they used as their lunch break. I don't know. But I did ask an IT guy to just say, would anything get flagged like that? And he goes, yeah, it would within our company. But again, we're, it was radio stations. So, I mean, it would be kind of commonplace for us to be looking at weird websites, and they kind of didn't get flagged. And he's like, yeah, plus we got a lot of things to do. And a lot of different radio stations and making sure everything's working. And, if things did come across like something got flagged and maybe hit to our email, it was like, whatever, man. That's, either DJs or talk show hosts or something looking at stuff that, trying to do show prep, whatever, we kind of just let it go. But, you work at FEMA or you work at a bank or you work at, there's probably different kind of things. But anyway, weird. That's all I'm going to say. That's just weird stuff that you're looking at those kind of things. And then, wouldn't it just kind of hit you that, especially if you're working for a government organization, that maybe you might want to just wait till you get home? I mean, first of all, even if you got home, that would be something weird to be looking at, those kind of, that kind of porn, those kind of phrases, those kind of things. But then to just be thinking to yourself, I am on a government computer here working for FEMA. So, what the hell? Might as well just, because you would think they are going to be tracking that at some particular point, right? I don't know. I would think they would be. Anyway, there you go. And then the last part of it is they said that these were women looking that up. And I'm thinking to myself, really? Because I just thought guys looked at weird sites like that. I mean, I even thought maybe guys didn't look at those kind of weird sites, but they did say that these were women that were looking up these sites. Government issued devices at work, and they said that these were women that were looking at them. And I always thought that, women would never do that. It's always guys. I was like, guys. Like, you'd always think to yourself, like, if a guy was like in a car accident or something, with his last breath, he'd be saying, please make sure you erase my internet history. If you just do anything at all, please just erase my browsing history. And then the guy dies, It's like, okay, I'll make sure I do that. I did not know that the biggest underground porn download sites in the 90s, 2000 was run by the FBI. Did not know that. Wow. I did not know that. You learn something new every day. Yeah. Wow. I did not know that. I did not know that. What else? When can we get the down and dirty? When can we get the down and dirty caboose pistol version? Yeah, we can do that. Let's see. Yeah, you're probably not wrong in this regard. Seattle is such a little brother. Yeah, because you know what? They've got just that one lonely Super Bowl trophy, and they thought they should have won that second one against the Patriots, and they probably should have, but they didn't. And that's just the one lonely. So when they try to talk any kind of trash, it's like, oh God, you just got that one. They got that one Super Bowl trophy when they blew out the Broncos, which, to be honest with you, I don't know. I've never been a Broncos fan, just never. So it didn't even really hurt me that much. We had such a great week, Papa and I. The Super Bowl in New York, it was freezing. That wasn't the greatest, but I got to tell you, that was a pretty great week. And I've covered about 15 or 16 Super Bowl weeks. That was probably top 5. And I generally like warmer Super Bowl weeks. Vegas was really good, but I'm telling you, it kind of is nice when your team is not in the Super Bowl, because if you're covering the team in the Super Bowl, you've got to work your ass off. And I know I'm not digging ditches and I'm not complaining. It's just that you're constantly working because it's your team. And so you're going to press conferences and you're going to different things, and then you're covering the game. When your team's not in it, you're just like, yeah, I'm doing Radio Row, and then I'm going out and, raging and partying, and then, whatever. And then what's great is you party on that big Friday night, then you leave Saturday morning out of the city. When you cover the game, you go in early, like that Thursday before, and then you don't leave, like you're almost there 2 weeks. Like you're there like till the Monday after the game. And in the Niners case, that you friggin' lose every time. I've covered 3 49er Super Bowls. They lost every time. And so that Monday you're like, this sucks. And you're doing the post game going in the stadium going, this sucks. And when it comes to like the 2 of the 3, one was in New Orleans and one was in Vegas, you're exhausted. And one was in Miami. My God. I don't even know if I've ever told the Miami. I mean, I have told the Miami. So the one in New Orleans, exhausting. The one in Vegas, obviously exhausting, because you're just like 3 or 4 days in Vegas is a lot, let alone 12 that I was there. But the one in Miami, so if you've never been there, Hard Rock Stadium is so far away from where you stay in Miami Beach. Easily 45 minutes. And I was on the air. Finally, I just told the guys at a break. I think I've told you this story. When they lost to the Chiefs the first time in 2019, I guess it was the 2020 Super Bowl. It was like 3:45 in the morning, and we were still taking phone calls. And I finally just said, look, because they announced it over the speaker. I'm in the one of the radio booths in Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, and they said, the last bus is leaving to Miami Beach. The last media bus is leaving to Miami Beach. Please, you have 15 minutes. And the media buses are at least 20 minutes. And I got to pack up all this gear and get out of the stadium. And I'm like the last person in the stadium. We're like, I don't know where I'm going. And I don't want to take an Uber. So I just told them during break, I go, I got to go. And so I take all the gear and I'm running out of the stadium, and like every door is locked, and I finally get out of there, and then I'm jogging and the bus is moving, and they see me with this gear, like it's humid. And it's like, and I get onto the bus, and then I get to my hotel, which suffice to say, with the funds that KMBR gave us, was not the greatest area of Miami Beach to be in. And the great part about it was, and I think I've told you this part before, was there was a Airstream trailer that's all it looked like, and it had the greatest Mexican food of all time. But what the cool part about it was, when you went to it, that's all I thought it was just great Mexican food. So you'd go there, you'd wait for your food, and then you'd stand around. There were just a few tables and a lot of people eating outside. But then my wife, who you've met before, Lainey, said, do you guys have bathrooms? And you open this door, there's a nightclub attached on the backside of the trailer, which we didn't know until like the second time we went there at like 3 a.m. after 900 drinks. And there's like 1,000 people in there. All of a sudden you open this door and it's poof, 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 and it's this raging party. So obviously every night that we'd get done, we would go into this party and everything. So anyway, I go in there that Sunday, and I had a show that next day, and I was like, I'm not going in there tonight. Don't have it in me. And so I get home from the Super Bowl, or I get home from, they dropped the bus off. I almost said tour bus. They dropped the bus off. I have my gear. I'm exhausted. It's been, I was one of the first people in the stadium that day because we had pregame like 3 hours before. So I think I had gotten to the game, the game started at like Eastern time, I don't know, 6:30 or something. I was there by noon. Didn't get out of the stadium until about 4 o'clock in the morning. It's an hour ride back. So it's like 5:15 in the morning. Sun's coming up, but that Mexican restaurant or Mexican trailer is still open. I get my tacos, start walking back to my hotel room. I get in my hotel room, and, I try to take like a 3-hour nap. Then I got to start prepping for the show that next Monday. And I'm laying in bed. I eat my tacos. I'm laying in bed, and I just hear all these sirens and screaming and all this kind of stuff. And I open up my window. I look outside of my not so great hotel room in Miami Beach, and there's domestic violence, and there's a huge fight, and there's all these sirens and everything. And so I can't go to sleep because that's like 2 hours. And so I just decide I'm not sleeping, and I just take a shower and I start working on the show, go on the show and get on the plane, and like zero sleep, like none whatsoever. And again, I'm not digging ditches. I'm not complaining. It was just that Super Bowl and that week, I could not wait to leave Miami Beach, because then on the plane ride home, which is, from Miami to San Francisco is, I don't know, what is it, 6 hours, whatever it is. It was like, I put my head down. It was against a window. I put my head down, and it was like, we've arrived at San Francisco International Airport. It felt like it was 5 minutes. Anyway, I don't know why I got into that story. No idea how that even started. I think it was, we were talking about Super Bowls and how they just are crazy to be at. And the three Niners ones I've covered: New Orleans, Miami, Vegas. And in every case, I think this is how it started. In every case, it's like, you cannot wait to get home. I mean, they're awesome, but you're there because you're the home team, or your team's in it. You're there for like 12 days. And by the time you leave, you're just wiped out, because in all cases, or I guess in Vegas, I didn't do this. In Miami, New Orleans, I was doing TV with NBC as well. So you're doing your show, you're doing some TV, you're doing all these different things. You're going on different radio shows because your team is in there. And then, of course, there's boatloads of parties. And of course, you're stupid like me, and you can't say no to those. And it's just draining. And you're going to all these press conferences, doing all these things. And then by the time, and then they lose, and then you're doing the Monday show from there going, this sucks. Anyway, I don't know why that was even a topic, why we even talked about it. I haven't done a stream with, hi Vincent, it's good to have you. That's a great picture. I haven't done a stream with Tolbert in probably 2 months. I got to get on it. I got to get on with him. and it's probably been about 10 days since I did something with Kruger too. So I got to get on both of those. Thank you for the reminder. But certainly with Tom, and he was traveling. He was in Germany. He was all over the place. Yeah, New York was unbelievable. Papa lost everything. And what's amazing about that is we go out to dinner and I meet him. There was probably 20 of us, and we met at this Italian restaurant in the city. And he left this. It was not only what was in there in New York at the Super Bowl. It was the iPads, but it was checkbooks. This was his briefcase that he had traveled with the Raiders. He hadn't worked with the Niners yet, and he loved this thing, and he left it in a taxi cab, and he had the iPads on there, like you said, and you could track them. And we found out later that the cabbie just stole everything, and he had everything in there. He had old charts from games that he did. I mean, just irreplaceable stuff. And I would have been up in a ball in a corner. It had money in it, all sorts of stuff, irreplaceable stuff that he had done and had, and games that he had charted, playoff games and all this kind of stuff. And so we walk in the Italian restaurant, and he kind of wasn't laughing. He was kind of like, one of those things where you're laughing so you don't cry. And he goes, I left in the whatever he called the briefcase. I left it in a cab. And I'm like, you did not. And he's like, yeah. And half the trip we were in New York, and the Niners weren't in that Super Bowl. That was the Seahawks and Broncos, like we were talking about. Half the trip in New York, he was trying to find that damn thing. And he even offered him a big reward and everything, and was trying to incentivize, even went down to like a New York cab company, yellow cab company or something, and was like, hey, whatever. And this was before, Uber was really, really big. Cause then you could have I've left tons of stuff in Ubers before, being a drunk idiot. And, a lot of times you can just get it back, but the cabbie stole all this stuff. And like I said, it wasn't just the iPads. I think he had 3 or 4 iPads in there, but it was just, like I said, he had these irreplaceable things from games that he had in there and stuff. And that's what he really was pissed about. But I think we drank so much on that trip that he forgot about it. But yeah, that sucked. That really sucked. Oh, we got some supers in here. Sorry. I was just yapping away. Our good friend Tangy, something masturbation agency. Yeah, that's probably, I'm just going on tangents now. I should be better. I need to be better. All right. Anything else? Any questions, comments, thoughts? I just was going on tangents there, and I don't need to be doing that any longer. So here's the deal. Hi, Tribe. It's good to see you in here, my friend. Here's what we'll do. If you have any more questions, comments, thoughts, hit me up with them right now, or forever hold your peace. Tomorrow we'll be doing more on Seahawks and 49ers. Even before the end of the week, we'll kind of get a round table in here, which I think we'll do during the week to have a little bit of fun. We'll even get more than one person, and we'll just kind of have a little bit of fun and get some discussion going. So we'll do that this week. By the way, if you have any requests, like we just had there from Vincent, who said, hey man, when you been doing some Tom, when you been doing some Krug, I got to get Damon in here. I love doing shows with Damon. So we got to be doing some of that stuff. So we'll do that. Any questions, comments, thoughts, hit me up under here if you're watching the show a little bit later. And if you're on X, thanks for watching on X tonight. We got a good amount of people on X watching the show at John Lund Radio. Questions, comments, thoughts, I'm always on X, so hit me there. And please, in the future, if you're watching on X, come on over to John Lund Unleashed and watch the show here on YouTube. Make sure before you get out of here tonight, if you'd hit us with a like, that would be great. Get those alerts on. And if you are not subscribed to the channel, please do that on John Lund Unleashed. Did somebody just say I'm the common denominator of the last 3 Super Bowls that they have lost? You are right. If we lost the last 3 Super Bowls and John covered the last 3 Super Bowls, does that mean John is the jinx? Yeah, probably. But you know what? There's a lot of media members. Mayoko, Cam Inman. There's a lot of people who have done that. And I'm not alone in that, because a lot of the same people have covered them. Papa has been with me on all 3 of those Super Bowls, by the way. Was he even? Yeah, he was in New Orleans. Yeah, we've done the show that long. So yeah, he's been with me on all 3 of those. So maybe it was him too. So, I'm not the only one, but yeah, I'm definitely part of that crew that has jinxed the 49ers in all 3 of those Super Bowls. So yeah, you're on to a point there. You're on to a point there. All right. That'll do it for tonight. Great stuff. Thanks for everybody for hanging out tonight. Have a great, great, great rest of your Tuesday, right? We're not on to Wednesday yet. We're sure all on Tuesday, almost 9:00 Pacific time. Had a great time hanging out with everybody tonight. And again, questions, comments, thoughts, suggestions, everything. Put them right underneath here on John Lund Unleashed on YouTube or on X, where I am often at John Lund Radio. Thanks for hanging out tonight. Really had a good time, as we always do. We'll continue to talk Seahawks and 49ers the rest of the week and everything else around the NFL. Hit us up. And again, have a great night.